All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Selection Sunday, Week 6. And as always, we'll start with the review of what happened last week. And it's going to take some time to get down to see where the Burn podcast ended up. Guster 420, turned in decent performances from Giannis and Steph. Definitely, when you look up and down, you see a lot of Giannis and a lot of Steph. So got it right on those two. But in this game, 2 out of 5 just isn't going to do it. Joker was just an okay option, and Rudy Gobert was, again, an okay option, not elite, but, those two guys didn't kill us, per se, in Joker and Rudy. What killed us is Chris Paul. We have, one Chris Paul candidate above us who, honestly, got the same score as us. So, we're the leading Chris Pauls, and the leading Chris Pauls don't crack into the top 50. And that kind of shows you how one game miss, because that's all that happened. If we go into the stats, you'll see what Chris Paul did for the week. But ultimately, he missed his Monday game, and he got 14 and 20 for us in his subsequent 2 games. I think he does have a game tonight against the Magic. I definitely see some good assists for him in that one. But, it's the missing a game is killing you. And I think what I'm learning here in these weekly swyysh contests is that you have to get your guys right. There's really no room for error. Any missed game will just torpedo your week. So when we look at the leaderboard, we'll check in with some of the names that we see over and over again. But what we want to be able to do is we need to feel confident that the guys that we roll out there are the guys that are going to play and are going to produce. And so we'll just kind of watch the showcase to talk a little bit about each of our guys as they come in, why we went in that direction and where we need to check to make sure that we're not going wrong. So Giannis, we selected him because, like this video, he just loves to drive and dunk. That's over Julius Randle. Go to your room. He is someone who's going to get his opportunities, and that's what I want to show you guys is that I want opportunities from the 2-point basket position. You're going to have bum games, but you want opportunities. And Joker, I think, fits that bill from the same sort of perspective that he's going to shoot. He's going to shoot in the paint, and we want to be able to show us some sort of number that solidifies that, yes, he is going to get his opportunities in 2-point bucket opportunities. The 3-point opportunity was really clear in previous weeks. Steph drains him from 3-point land. He did have that one game where he only hit 2 threes against the Nets, no less. Funny enough, over this 3-pointer over Jared Allen, but he dropped I think 6 3-pointers, 7 3-pointers in a game, and that really will push the scales. Really, no one was close, and I don't think rolling with anyone other than Steph is a good opportunity. Now, the assist column is where it gets tricky because there are some really good options. I think Trae Young is one of those guys. I think Luka Doncic. I think there are some other options or guys that we have in the collection, but we want to do a deep dive into Trae Young. Again, scheduling is a big deal in this competition, so we want to check in to see how many games this week. And then this last selection is a departure from the Burn podcast typical selections all week. Nerlens Noel has come into an interesting spot on the Knicks, and that he is going to see some increased minutes. I think he's really ready for a big splash. So let's dive in right away into why I think Nerlens Noel is going to be a good play this week. I love this Fantasy Labs website in terms of getting up-to-the-minute injury notice. And the first thing I want to know is Nerlens Noel hurt, or is he ready to go? This was from 2-9, so that's 4 or 5 days ago. He missed the previous 2 games with a sore left knee. The Knicks really did suffer because of it, only compiling 2 blocks later at that last game. And when we did some, on the preview, we saw that Mitchell, who had been the starter for the Knicks at the center position, has fractured his right hand, Mitchell Robinson. And he'll sideline him for a couple of weeks. And Noel says they know I'm ready, and like all of a sudden, like I'm like, yeah, this guy is the guy. He said, until then, I'm definitely man the defense. Like, wow, like this is what we want from our defensive wizard. Like, a guy who's going to get added minutes. He has 4 games this week. If we can get there. Can we get there? Yep, 4 games this week. Let's see how they arrive. They're in decent position. I think get your feet under you and then maybe like cruise to a really end of the week here for Nerlings Noel. I think when we leave Rudy on the table, we're leaving the fact that he's only playing 3 games this week. Yes, he has been consistent. To check as to where are the steals. The steals, again, are like not quite on the same level as the blocks, as you can see from its season average. And Nerlings has been averaging 2 a game, but if we dwindle it down to the past 2 weeks, again, we did this on the preview, but this number is enticing, and I think with more minutes, it's going to go up. Really, really like Nerlings Noel in that defensive wizard category. We're not moving away from our preview selection. And then when we move to the dime disher position, the assist column, I want to prioritize the scheduling and getting the games in. I know that the 76ers have had a bout with coronavirus, so maybe on the flip side this week we can be certain that at least their side will be ready to go. It is encouraging just in the United States that coronavirus is going down, as a side note. But you also see that the Atlanta Hawks are also going to be playing in those 4 games, and again in that same sort of optimal weekly schedule, a rest day in between. You're going to get your primetime guys playing as many minutes as possible, provided that there's no other injuries. We'll go into fantasy labs here to make sure that Trae Young doesn't have anything going on. He will play Saturday. That was over a week ago, so really haven't seen much there. Let's see what Ben Simmons is up to, just to get a check on him. Again, he's fine. He had a tight calf a few weeks ago. But to reemphasize where the assists are, just to make sure that Trae Young is our guy this week. He is definitely in and around the league leaders and up for the season so far in the past 4 weeks. We have him 1-2 right behind Harden in terms of what we have on the burn roster. He's definitely the guy. We're not sleeping on Luka. But as we can see from our scheduling, Luka is only playing 2 games this week, so just definitely not the guy. Let's check up on Benny. But the fact that we can't see him, we see him here in 11. So I think it's Trae Young all day. There's just not. Let's not overthink this. In the spirit of not overthinking it, let's take a look at Steph real quick. 3-point made. See where he's at. Obviously, it's been good. I don't think it's changed in the past 2 weeks. If anything, it's gotten better. It certainly has. But I think when we move to maybe the main segment of this portion of the episode, we're going to prioritize where the field goal attempts are coming from, right? Because, at least if we can get the opportunities, we can go home knowing that we put our best foot forward. And it's clear that Steph is going to get his opportunities, right? Like, he happens to be good at it too. But CJ McCollum and Buddy are going to get opportunities. They're just not as good as Kirk. It's just the bottom line. And it's going to be this sort of comparison that we're going to look at into 2-point field goals, right? And so before we even go back to our options and recap what our options are, let's go into 2-point field goals attempted. So these are just attempts. Who's getting them on a nightly basis? Beal, for good reason. That's why we acquired him way back when. Zion, Jokic, Embiid, perfect. So all the guys that we're looking at, Andre Drummond is getting some good looks, but that, at 14 and these other guys at 14, I like these other guys getting it. This marginal uptick doesn't really do it for me. I am interested to see what's been going on lately and Embiid. I think Kawhi is someone that really popped up for me. He's someone that I wanted to look at. There is a moment on the Top Shot marketplace that I've been really interested in acquiring from both a swyysh fantasy perspective and a marketplace perspective. We'll let that load and kind of come in. Maybe we'll get rid of this article that seems to be slowing some stuff down. We're asking for too much. We're asking for too much in Botgate. Okay, we're back. And we'll do one quick last reminder. 4 weeks. What do we got? Again, same sort of cast of characters. AD, another guy to consider. Big V is someone that we stashed. So that's interesting to see. Someone who was hoping to get a read on was Sabonis. But he's all the way down here at lowly 11. Now he's making the most of those opportunities, but to launch into maybe our conversation to start for this week, I don't think that Big V or Sabonis get in there. I think it really does get in between those four guys. Someone who had popped up was Fox. Again, not someone that is going to creep into the conversation. We're really going to zone in on Giannis. We're going to zone in on Embiid and Joker. The reason why we are not zoning in on Beal is because he doesn't have that fourth game. So it's these four guys that, and I think, there's good reason for that. Now, Zion is not getting as many opportunities as Embiid, Joker, Giannis, and so that's maybe where we're going back now. We'll flip over to the field goals made, and Zion's making a lot of them, and he's also not taking a lot of threes. So that's where the value comes in with Zion. It's just that he is making them. We can get all the opportunities we want, but ultimately you get to the biscuits that you put into the basket, and Zion is doing that. So he's in the conversation. Want to move to remind ourselves what the past 4 weeks have looked like. And again, the decision is kind of right in front of us. So I think the first place to kind of begin this conversation with, again, we're working with Zion, Joker, Giannis, and Joel Embiid, is first with scheduling. We know that the 76ers have an optimal schedule, and that's frankly the reason why Embiid is being discussed, because I got burned playing him in the past. He just sat out on a Monday. Worry that we might just do that again. On the flip side, he could be the guy that wins the week, because for all the reasons why you might not start him is all the reasons why somebody else in the contest might not start him. I think all of these things are considerations that we make when we try to finalize our lineup. So let's go to Denver with the Joker. He's on the road. He's got a road swing. That makes me nervous. On some level, I have no idea what's happening in the Nugget locker room, but what I do think is that if there was ever an opportunity for him to sit a game, why not sit against the lowly Wizards? That being said, the Wizards are have great players in Beal and Westbrook, and maybe you need the Joker to just solidify the paint and maybe win the ball game there. But I'm not wild about a back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, all on the road for Joker. Now Giannis has got a homestand, which is nice. They see Toronto twice. I think when you're looking at these clubs, I feel like these are games where Giannis is going to do very well. Oklahoma, again, it's hard to just say that there's a particular team that Giannis is going to do well on at any given night, that someone's going to go off or not. But Giannis is the franchise guy, and with 4 games, who's someone who's been so dependable for us. I don't know if we're going to get away from him. And the last guy will be, I guess we've discussed this, or the Pelicans. So let's see, what does Zion have this week with the Pelicans? He has 4 games, Memphis, and then home. Memphis isn't too far away from New Orleans, so maybe that's the pick. Maybe we go Zion and Giannis. Maybe we flip that Joker pick. The one reason why I'm kind of lukewarm on sitting on the Jokers is that he, whenever I've sat him, he goes off, and when I play him, he doesn't, go off as much. I think there's a certain long-term strategy towards just rolling with Joker and Giannis now, and knowing that those are two guys that we feel great about. We think in the long run they're going to win us weeks. Trying to pick the right one, flip-flopping sometimes has its poor dividends, but we have great options, right? Like we have great options in Zion. We have great options in Joel Embiid. Like the more you're looking at Embiid, he's in the conversation. Like maybe we shouldn't write him off. I think it makes the most logical sense to see where Joel Embiid is at health-wise. Great source here. He will start Saturday. He was listed questionable, so already not great. Where I'm not in love with this now. Before I got too carried away, you need to look at the date. We are a week away from that. He's been great since. Let's take a look at Joel Embiid on this site here. We have let's see, matchups and scheduling, daily schedule. Interesting. So, we could go all day here trying to look through different kind of opportunities. I think what we have to ultimately say is that it's Giannis and who else? Because Giannis is a guy that we're just never going to go away from. He was the first franchise guy. I had Joker lined up there. I wish I had some sort of number to say this is why we're going this way. I see some risk with Embiid, although it's just the perfect week for him on the schedule. I wanted to go with Joker, but then we're seeing him on a 4-game skid. Well, not a skid, 4-game road here. Traveling all week. I'm not in love with that. I feel like Zion could be hot. Let's see. Maybe is there any sort of Zion news that we should be aware of? Get away, Joel. Okay. So this was a postponement way back in January. So, guys, it's a tough decision because I feel like we have 4 really good picks, and this last 5th man is where, ultimately our week will be decided. And, we ultimately leave these tough decisions in the hands of the CFO. The CFO is the Chief Feline Officer. He's in charge of all feline matters with the Burn podcast. He is the guy who makes sure that the numbers meet at the end of each week. And the CFO did say that he wants to roll the dice this week. And that's not something we hear often from the CFO. He wants to roll the dice this week on a Valentine's Day Sunday. He wants to go Joel Embiid. He thinks that this is the guy that's going to win the week. It's gonna be a roll the dice, but no biscuit, no risk it. Said that backwards. It's because he's a cat. And, we want to go with Joel Embiid. We want to be able to really, really spin the dice this week and move to a guy that might have the opportunity of winning it. Now, the one last thing I wanted to check is that I do think Kawhi Leonard has an opportunity to have an awesome week. He is with the Clippers, and as you can see, he's got the optimal week. I think it might be one of those weeks where he goes off. I also, in the marketplace, love the prospect of this LE layup. I was tracking it at $33 earlier this weekend. We've just seen a general market uptick. I don't want to go ahead and say that it's definitely just this card, but man, I kind of just want to pull the trigger on it, and I'm gonna make the acquisition and put Kawhi Leonard back into this mix. And when we go ahead and do this, it's something that we're going to have to, realign now. Like this is a new player, a new moment that we're going to have to wait a second. A good thing we're doing this at 4 o'clock. We got 2 hours before the deadline. and we're going to reintroduce Kawhi Leonard. And so, the CFO is just losing himself because he was all ready to go to spin the dice with Joel Embiid. We're going to put him back into the orange category, and we're going to log in Leonard and talk about why he may be, we got the confirmation, that's good, why we think he may be the guy this week. I really like his schedule. We're going to, as him being a new option on the squad, we're going to pop open his ESPN profile, despite the fact that we're probably going to get some music and some Botgate here with us. I do like it as just a general source to check in on players. So bear with us as we move through. I'll try to talk our way through it. But we want to, the reason why we're doing this is that I saw this moment as a unique moment that has a lot of swoosh value and a lot of marketplace value. You're seeing a lot of noise on Twitter. People are starting to catch on to Top Shot. It's happening quickly. The whale token exploded in price. I think when you look at Kawhi Leonard, he is someone that is obviously an MVP player. He is someone that means a lot to this franchise for the past and present. We'll take a look at his game log to see, what we can expect to see from him. And he's been hot. Look at these numbers. If we can get 14, 13, I think the time is now. That this is where he starts to go off. He doesn't take as many threes. I like the opportunity of going Kawhi here. It's a little bit scary to make a move like this, but with him having the optimum schedule, he's making them at a pretty high clip the past 2 weeks. He's got the best schedule. I think we're going to do that. It's successfully in the collection now. We have Kawhi Leonard. We're going to change our showcase. And as we change it, we'll show you guys just a little tutorial on how to get it done if this is the first time you're doing it. But ultimately, you're going to want swoosh and whale in your name for the week. You can get rid of the guy that had been out. It was initially Joker. We made the move to Joel Embiid. But before he could even get into the showcase, we purchased the Kawhi Leonard. He's in the lineup. What we're going to do is save it 2 times because that's what you got to do. I definitely like this. Nobody else did. Want to be very clear and honest about that. Go into, we're got the tab open. Got the lineup. We're going to edit it up. Cross it off. Log it in. Swoosh is in there. Got to have swoosh in your name. Current lineup is here. Chris Paul, should have known. Hopefully that's not a sign for Nerlens Noel, but I love Kawhi in this spot. I think this is a dynamite sort of move. Really like this. Really kind of rolling the dice, not going Joker or Zion, and I might pay the price, but I love Kawhi Leonard this week, and I love Nerlens Noel. I'm convicted with those guys, and these are kind of like my 3 bread and butter dudes. That's kind of how I see the lineup. Want to make sure that I log that in the same whale lineup. As you can see, that is not what I had in whale. Or make that change. Again, you have to have whale in your name, and you also have to have your 16 whale tokens in order to participate in this week. Have the lineup. That's who we are, and that is how we'll end. Thank you guys for listening, joining on, watching. Stay tuned for next week and next week's content.